Hip-hop moments of clarity.
Hip-hop moments of clarity.
What's up? This is Vanessa with Double XL. We're with Hip-hop Moments of Clarity podcast. What do we have? We have Wayno here today.
What's good?
Adidas, a lot of Adidas. JFK's here again. No. Roger's here.
Yes.
Barry, the engineer, is here.
What's up?
And we are talking about, let's see, what happened this week. We got Craig Mack passed away. So we'll start there.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. with all the Instagrams.
R.I.P. to Craig Mack.
Yeah, where do we start on this? I just think the Craig Mack story is interesting because I'm sorry if it's fucked up or not, the cult element and the cult at the end of his life. And we, for years, tried to get the story. I think every outlet did, media outlet tried to get like the Craig Mack interview in the past few years to figure out what happened with this weird religious organization, which some people call a cult and don't. So maybe it's not right to say, but some sort of weird thing, and nobody could get at him. And it wasn't just us. It was a lot of different people. Every outlet was trying to do like the Craig Mack interview after he showed up on YouTube and was rapping in the church or whatever, and the character that he was affiliated with. So I think that's part of besides what he's contributed to hip hop, I think it is such a weird ending that you're just kind of like, what happened? What happened with this guy? And why did we never get the interview of why he went over there?
Right.
So I think that's kind of, for me, that leaves it like, wow, that story's weird.
I mean, maybe it'll come out now, though.
They did a bit of a write-up in Daily News yesterday. I know we've investigated over the years, but they ran something because and I'm not going to get anything right, I don't know if he was the pastor, the guy who was in charge of the whole thing, had recently been arrested for some not such good sexual assault crimes, or I'm not getting it totally right, but some not so good crimes with young girls. So you had that angle, plus he had a series of arrests over the years. And how did that fit in? How did Craig Mack get there?
It's crazy? I mean, this is totally off, but pastors never get locked up for like selling dope or nothing. Like it's always something sexual. Like you never hear a pastor had like 40 pounds of weed in his car or something. It's like
No. You never had priests have that.
priest.
Yeah,
I don't know the difference between a priest and a pastor.
Okay.
I mean, that's just me. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, Craig Mack passed away. We hadn't seen him in such a long time, and I remember the last thing I did see from him. Remember when Diddy was trying to do this Bad Boy reunion concert movie, and he spoke to him on the phone, and he just was like he couldn't do it. But it's crazy. I have like a double. How could I say it? Is it a double-edged sword, or I'm 50-50 on it because I appreciate the fact that people are showing Craig Mack love, but on the other hand, it's just like, come on, man. Like, I seen somebody say, oh, you didn't care about his music. Excuse me. What music did he have? Like,
right.
Well, according to Eric Sermon, they were just finishing up a new album.
Right now?
I'm devastated over the news of Craig Mack. We were just finishing up his new album, SMH, Rest in Power, Craig.
With all due respect to Eric Sermon, fuck out of here. Nobody's like I'm just being serious, yo. Like fuck out of here. Like a new.
I don't understand a new Craig Mack album. I'm not, especially if he was so sick, because they're saying Eric Sermon said that he told him 6 months ago that he might not live, right? And then the rumors, and we don't really know because we haven't seen him, was that he was sickly, and I could be spreading rumors, but that he was sick and he had a cane. So I just wonder at 47 years old and very unhealthy, what the studio experience is like.
Right. And I think, one thing that I read was something about someone was trying to push him to like get his sort of religious views and stuff out through his music, and that was sort of like him returning to music. That would have been his sort of so
they could still
angle.
release it. Let's see if we'll have to ask
it's
Eric
gonna be a
Sermon if he's
gospel
going to
rap
release
album?
it.
Right. Maybe. I don't know. Bible in your
It
ear.
just makes me think of like Ross got sick, and we're going to talk. Ross got sick and had a health scare, and everybody through the Instagram, like my whole Instagram was people with their pictures of Ross. You wouldn't think he was dead.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just weird. It's like people feel fulfilled, like somebody passed away or is sick. Let me throw my Instagram photo up of me and them.
Right.
And that's going to be playing tribute,
well,
you know?
I actually got a text from Sam Sneak. Sam Sneak texted me and said that, Ross was actually doing well. But that shit is just surprising to me. It's just like, I don't know if these people, when they put prayer hand emojis, if they actually said a prayer, but I'm guessing not. And it's crazy how, a person gets a little sick. And I mean, people were kind of scared because TMZ reported that he was on life support.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing I don't
Right.
understand either. Is that and we love TMZ, but there's been a few instances where there's reporting, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Did that really
Right.
happen or not? Like
Right.
we never got to the bottom of it. Like they had
Right.
Chris Brown throwing
Chris
guns
Brown
out of
stuff,
his
yeah.
duffel bag out of
Right.
his house that wound up not being true.
Yeah.
And so I don't know the Ross thing because at one point you have him in the hospital, so you're like, and everybody we spoke to said he was okay. He
Right.
wasn't in the situation that it was being reported.
Right.
So here we're trying to figure out how bad it is. We've got Fat Gleesh, which not his name, but I like to call him that because of his handle.
Yeah.
What's it called? Out there saying that he just spoke to Ross. So why isn't Ross in the bed tweeting from the bed or
Right.
sending out an Instagram video or anything to let us know he's okay? So you don't know if they're right or if everybody else is right. And anybody we spoke to said he was okay, but then you didn't see that. So I don't get how it gets to the point that he is.
Right.
That TMZ's got him on his deathbed on heart machines, and then
Yeah,
other
like,
people
where
are
does
talking
that
to him on
come
the
from?
phone.
Right, yeah, like where did that come from? It's like, but you know what? Maybe it was something, but they just didn't want to let us know. But like, how did it get that severe? Do people
Right.
get money from like giving TMZ information, period?
People get money for
think they
giving
do,
tips some places. I'm not going to say it's TMZ. I'm not totally sure if that works, but I think Daily Mail does. I'm pretty sure Inquirer does. Different outlets, depending on however the journalistic outlet looks at itself, I guess,
Right.
will accept money for news sometime. I mean, we even hear about publicists in the industry
Right.
who will save stuff about their client and leak it to the outlets themselves to make a few extra dollars.
Right,
Or
right.
managers, or not just publicists, or people in the industry with their own clients who will leak stuff to different places to be able to get either a relationship better or to get a little bit income when they're the ones who are supposed to be protecting the artist or something like
That's
that.
crazy. I mean, it's a deep and dark game, but I mean, I'm happy that Ross is okay. But it's just like, I can't take social media sometimes. You know,
Yeah, it
it's
gets
like,
out of hand.
It's a lot,
Meanwhile, you're
yeah.
on it more and more. Anybody, Wayno's
Yeah.
on Twitter more and more lately. So for
Somewhat.
someone who can't stand it, I'm sure he tweeted a lot today.
I got a good 4 or 5 in the day. A good 5 or 6. I ain't gonna lie. You know what's so funny, V? I got a tweet that says, "Yo, I hate Twitter, but I gotta get these tweets off." That's from years ago. But it's sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's like you could use Twitter as a vessel to get things out of your head. I like the fact that people can show support, but sometimes it's like you gotta. I hate to use the word question of support, but it's like, do you really care if all we're doing is posting pictures? Like, is that the most we can do? Is post pictures? I mean, for a person who doesn't have access to Ross, I mean, maybe that, but it's just like a crazy outcry, like, "Oh, I love you so much."
It's crazy, but if you look at today, you've got a lot of the rallies going on with the kids and all the
Right.
protests and everything, and that was
Right.
organized a lot through social.
Mm.
So it's got there's
Yeah, it's two
there's the
sides.
Good and bad,
organizational
yeah.
factor.
Right.
It's got the good and bad. Whether you believe in the purpose of the march or not, there is an
Right.
organizing factor that strengthens the kids or strengthens a voice. But then it could be flipped on the other side.
Absolutely. It's like social media is like this place with just no rules, so you can't really like figure out how things should or shouldn't go.
Well, we're glad Ross is okay.
Yes, very,
Definitely.
very.
And we've been hearing, I think, more about a new project coming.
Yeah, he's definitely
So,
working on a new album.
Yeah, I don't think this was press for it, but we
Right.
do happen to hear about it from it.
Right.
Right.
All right, other controversy this week, or things that have happened in the last week since we last sat down. Tory Lanez and Travis Scott almost coming to blows.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What happened there? What do you guys
So
think?
there was a video that surfaced yesterday of Tory and Travis just kind of, facing each other, and Tory and Travis are going at it. Both artists just, had a heated argument, and Tory in the video threatened to fight Travis. Travis was a little bit more calm during the
Right.
conversation. You could tell Tory was getting heated even more.
Yo, I seen the video. So I'm hearing various like parts of the story. I heard that Travis went to the room with like 10 people or 6 to 10 people with him. If you come to somebody like that and you saying you just want to have a talk, you can't bring 6 to 10 people, because if you
Right.
bring that type of force or that type of energy,
What kind of talk is it?
yeah, it's like what kind
Yeah.
of talk? It's like
Right.
I'm on defense mode.
Of
What I
course.
really respected about Tory was he's like, "Yo, all of y'all motherfuckers could leave this room."
Yeah,
And me and him could fade, and then Travis was like, whoa. I didn't, but it's just interesting. I mean, I'm glad that, nothing nobody came to blows and it's not a bigger thing. But it's just ill how like things can so small as sounding like somebody could get blown out of proportion and could lead to all types of other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Another thing I heard was actually too that that Tory might have released that video, or one of Tory's.
If he did that, that was trash.
because
Yeah.
of the album that released last week from Tory.
Right.
Right.
So that's what they're saying. You know, that's what the rumors are pointing at. But
You know what's
I was
crazy
about to
about
say,
that? Go ahead.
I was about to say that it's crazy that the timing, like the Tory's album just came out like 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
And on that album he has a song "Hate to Say" where he talks about the whole
Talks about it,
situation. So it's like if this is like a year ago, I believe, that this sort of altercation happened. So for it to now come out 2 weeks after he talked about it in the song, it's
Right.
a little, I don't know.
Video.
Not saying
you
that
know
he
what's-
did it, but would it have come out if the song never came
I
out or
don't know.
whatever?
What's crazy is that like I listened to Tory's album. It honestly sounds like a compilation featuring himself, because he sounds like 10 different people. Like every song sounds like him featuring him, and it's a good album overall. I don't think he would even need to do something like that. But if he did something like that, that's kind of like
I buy it.
tasteless. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I buy it.
yeah,
yeah.
It plays in his favor.
I buy it. Like, what are we talking about?
yeah.
The album just came out. Like, yeah.
I mean, we got a call today from the publicist. No, I don't know who we got a call from. Somebody on behalf of the guy who knocked Bow Wow out in that video that surfaced that's 5 months old.
Oh yeah.
And
Boss
And it's
man.
funny. It's just so you released the video came out 5 months later. You released a song, and now people are reaching out for us to do an interview with you about the song and knocking Bow Wow out. Like, it's just weird what the timing and the press run is.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's like I knocked him out 5 months ago. I've got a song. I think this is how it happened. And now I'm willing to talk about it.
Right,
and then
right.
I'm going to tie that in. I mean, timing doesn't exist for a reason, I
Yeah.
think.
Right.
So I think
It's no coincidence.
No
how much the
coincidence.
coincidence really exists. So I
Right.
would believe that it's possible that it was put out at a certain time for a
And
reason.
that Bow Wow video too is funny because you see Bow Wow, like you don't even see the dude come out of nowhere.
No,
And
because
when
they
the-
put the camera down,
And when
right?
Bow Wow, yeah, exactly. And when Bow Wow's already on the floor, like we missed the entire punch. So I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, you know?
Yeah, it happened so fast. It's like it just. I watched it 100 times, and it's like
so
it
is the
came out of
cameraman in
nowhere.
on it? Because staff is convinced the cameraman knew what was happening, except the cameraman dropped the camera right when
Dropped
the guy
the
was
camera
coming.
right at the punch.
So I'm like, I'm not
Right.
sure if the cameraman was in on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that remains to be seen. But
I have no idea.
Dude popped out. It's like he just popped out of the curtain. It's like he came out of
Because
nowhere.
he wasn't walking down the hallway.
Yeah, he wasn't
towards
walking down the
you.
hallway. He
So
just
he was like
ah.
hiding on the
Yeah,
side.
he was like
Yeah.
hiding on the side and just ran straight to him. Boom. Like, damn, Bow. Like, bow, bow.
I feel bad.
Bow, wow. But, you know, I
That
think
Bow Wow
this is
takes some
something-
L's lately.
Yeah, it's like, this is something.
Every year, I think.
It's
I don't
always
know. I was
something.
stuck on him on the airplane when he was
The
on
Bow
the
Wow
plane.
challenge,
taking
right?
the-
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
That was crazy. I ain't gonna
But Roger
lie,
and I went to an event right after that happened, and we're standing behind a not to be named DJ, and the DJ's standing there, and he's putting up pictures from him. We're
At-
with him. I don't
At a
remember.
playoff game.
Yeah, like he's at
front
this
court and
yeah.
everything.
But
Yo.
he's where we are, and he obviously took the photo from somewhere else. It's not his photo.
Let me tell you
And
about
we're
that
watching
bullshit.
him stand behind. This is a DJ, everybody knows. And we're watching him literally put up the picture as he's at the game at playoffs last season.
Yeah.
And we are hysterical laughing because it's the same time
Meanwhile,
as
we're
Bow
in
Wow.
Brooklyn at a sneaker event.
Yeah.
And the guy-
Let me
Nothing
tell
to do
you.
with it. And we're literally seeing him edit it, turn it black and white,
Oh
and
my
all that
God.
stuff.
It was this dude that lived in my building, you know, a couple years ago. We was kind of cool until it was like, you know, when you got to move your car for alternate side parking?
Yeah.
Right, right.
Like, I would be moving my car, and, like, I'd be on IG, and I would see a picture of him in, like, Miami or some shit, and I'm sitting there, and as I'm waiting for alternate side parking to end, I see him walking his dog, like, and I'm like, oh, is he serious? Like, he's really, and then, like, he would be putting up all these pictures, like, he lived in Jersey, and he's living in the projects in Harlem. It's like, yo, this is insane, you know, but, I mean, finessing is the name of the game nowadays, so, you know, may the best finesser win.
Yeah, and you don't have to finesse in the streets. You can just finesse online and
Yeah,
everybody
you go finesse
eats the
online,
bullshit.
crazy.
Is it
yo,
whack
like-
that I think you're talking about me because of finesse every time?
Vanessa,
and I just know it is?
Vanessa.
Anyway, all right. So speaking of controversy, I don't know if we were. Lil Xan versus Tupac.
Ooh.
So Lil Xan says in an interview with Revolt that he was found Tupac boring, right? Was that
Right.
it?
He gave him a
Right.
2 rating.
And then all of the internet decided that they were mad at Lil Xan, correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
the Waka Flocka
Yep.
band.
I was
Oh,
mad.
that
at
was
him.
it. Waka Flocka banned
Banned
him.
him
And then
from-
Michael Rappaport was really pissed off, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Michael Rappaport went off.
He said a lot of shout words.
You know what's so crazy about shit like this is like you can't. What can you ban somebody from?
Right,
Like you can ban somebody
Well,
from
Waka's
an
the
arena.
authority to ban them too. He's the authority, and you can ban him from it.
I'm just like, how do you ban a person from hip hop? Like,
How does that work?
yeah, it's
right?
like you can ban a person from Arco
Take your
Arena. and some
SoundCloud
shit.
password away, you know?
Right? Yeah. It's like, how do we ban this? You know what? I never look for none of the young guys to be, direct fans of the elder artists because, like, I was a kid when Tupac died. Like, I think, but Tupac died at 96.
Uh-huh.
I was 12 going on 13 that year.
Wait, you're that much?
I'm 35.
Hmm.
Yeah, my birthday's in the end of the year, so I was 12 going on 13, 96 of 96 September. I never forget because he died on Friday the 13th. Remember, everybody's trying to run
I
with the
remember
whole
very well. Yeah,
conspiracy
what's it called?
shit. Yeah, so it's like
He shot on the 13th.
he was shot on the 13th.
Yeah, he died. He had the 7-day theory.
Right,
7 days.
7 day theory.
Yeah.
So you know what's crazy? It's like for a kid that never like, we're saying like Xan is born when he's 21, I believe.
Nah, he's got to be like 18.
No,
19.
he's 21.
I think
Yeah.
he's
I think he's like
21.
21,
He's
yeah.
21. He just looks 15, but he's
Yeah.
He
21.
looks extremely
Right.
young, but
Yeah,
I think
he's 21. But it's like I don't expect him, especially for the style of music he makes and the artist that he grew up on, to go back and like really understand Tupac. But I think certain artists should just be off limits. I mean, why is there a place where you feel like you can disrespect? That was my biggest thing. It's like, yo, just say, yo, I never really listened to
Right.
it. And I would respect you saying I never listened to it than to say, oh, that shit is boring.
Right.
And then people say, oh, that's his opinion.
But what if he did listen to it and he found it boring?
Yo, man.
Should he lie and say he didn't?
No,
Lie.
he should just say Tupac's music is not for me.
Okay.
I would respect him saying, like, Tupac, it's a lot of people that I could be like, yo, they fucking trash. But out of respect, I'd be like, nah, his shit is just, I just don't bang with it. Like, that's not my cup of tea.
Right.
But his name is Lil Xan. Like, what do we expect from his abbreviation is Xanax? Like,
I think he made it clear he's not doing Xanax anymore, though, right?
Yeah,
Right.
he's anti-Xan rap.
Anti-Xan.
Anti-Xan rap.
No, I think
yeah,
he's changing his name. That's
Diego.
it, right? To
Change
it to
Diego,
Diego
because that's his
eventually.
real name.
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
supposed to change. It's a little late.
No,
we all know you as that.
Al
but-
Pacino will always be Scarface. You will always be Lil Xan.
Right.
Like, young, like,
Funny comparison.
Right.
no, I mean, you know what the thing is, we gonna accept you how we met you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And the thing is that you,
Yeah, whatever. We're not calling him Titty Boy anymore. He's 2 Chains.
That's a good one.
Come
but
on.
Titty Boy and 2 Chainz are 2 totally different artists.
Half the people who know 2 Chainz don't even know Titty Boy.
Right, but guess what? Xan ain't have that time of privilege. We've only
Titty Boy.
Diego
wasn't
Xan.
in the
Diego
group.
and 2 Chains versus Xan and Titty Boy.
Yeah, right. Oh man, it's like who else was it? Then
Most Def always gonna be Most Def to me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you always-
I'm not going
Yasin
with
Bey.
anything. Any
I
of
can't.
that.
Yasin Bey?
Sister, I'm still with Baby, not Birdman.
Right.
I still
I'm
call him
over
Baby.
there. It said
I still call
Baby,
him
not
Baby.
Birdman. I will not leave Puffy. There is no Diddy to me.
Yeah, Puff. I always say Puffy or Puff Daddy or who else is it that we could think of?
That changed their names.
Jeezy took the young off.
Well, he's not young anymore.
Right.
He's not young.
Bow Wow took the Lil off.
He's
Bow Wow became Shad Moss.
Right.
But he'll always
That's
be
right.
Bow
He'll
Wow.
always
Like,
be Bow Wow. It's
you'll
true.
always
Snoop.
be little
Oh,
Bow
Snoop
Wow.
Lion.
Lion, like
He's still Snoop Dogg.
Snoop-a-delic, like,
Snoop-a-delic,
Yeah.
you know?
No, he's Snoop. That's it. Yeah,
Snoop,
it's true.
man.
It's Snoop,
It's
yeah.
like, you'll always be the person that you presented us as.
It's just
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, it's like it's how many people it bothered. Like there are bigger things going on in the world than Lil Xan's feelings. Lil Xan's feeling on Tupac. That's the only thing I saw that day. So it's just
Yeah. Right.
interesting how much it bothers people.
But you know what? It goes to show you how much of an impact Tupac left on this world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, he passed away, a few years older than Xan. He's old enough to be Xan's father, and he's in a conversation with a young guy that's on a come up because he says something about him. It's a lot of artists that people could say, I don't like their shit is boring and nobody would care. So,
Yeah.
Tupac just goes to show a testament as to how potent the work he was putting out was, and how much we still love it. Because people love Tupac. That's
But
why
you also have a resurgence. So it's 21, 22 years, not 20, of course, but 21, 22 years since the death. And you've got all these TV shows now.
Right.
You've got everybody. You've got mainstream media making mainstream TV shows about their murders.
Right.
Which is something that we've been sitting here trying to figure out who murdered Tupac and Biggie for 100 years. Now all of a sudden, well, you've got that.
Right.
You've got all those elements. Now all of a sudden, you have X amount of years later, hip hop's big as it's ever been, and mainstream's like, let's grab onto this and do a podcast and do a TV show and do a search for the murderer and so and so. So you've kind of got that resurgence. Also with that respect your elders thing.
Right.
So Xan just stepped into it all the way. But he put up a funny post yesterday. He was at a desk.
Yeah, I seen it.
And
Got
he
a new
was
job.
like, what was it? Since like I'm banned from hip hop or something?
Yeah.
You should have went with the UPS is hiring.
Yeah.
But you know what, journalists too, they know what they be doing. They know what they doing. It's like you know what you you know what you're doing if like Lil Yachty comes up to rap and you put on Hovey Baby beat for him to rap. Like, you know what you're doing.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't do that to them. Sometimes I feel for them because, you know, a lot of the journalists that interview them are older than them and they know how to catch them.
Right,
and,
they're looking for it.
And these dudes is not smart enough to Euro step this shit. Like, come on, dog. You should see this shit coming from a mile away.
Right.
You say some Tupac shit, just back off. Like, you know?
Like, they knew exactly what they were doing when they gave Little Uzi Vert a DJ Premier beat.
Exactly.
To
You
spin
know
on.
what shit.
I forgot that. I was sitting there
you
trying to
know,
remember which one it was.
like, I'm gonna give him
trip him up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Uzi, I'm gonna give you something from the essence. Like, come on, man, give him a milli from
Not
Wayne and
from
some
here.
shit.
Right.
He's
Yeah,
young,
like,
yeah.
give him that. Like, don't do that to him.
Well, it's interesting. How much should a young artist be familiar with older music and the history? Where's the line? Should he be able to rap over a premiere beat? And is that disrespectful that he can't? Like, it's interesting. What are the expectations we're putting on the kids, and are they fair or not?
What
I
you
don't
wanna
know.
say?
I think, I agree with what Wayno was saying. I think there's a better way of responding to questions like that from artists as opposed to just saying, oh, they're boring, or because it takes away from their legacy. And, you know, not that Xan and Tupac have anything to do with each other, but I think that there's a better way of responding, and I think Famous Dex said that like 2 days ago, where
Let's share.
But I don't.
Wait, Famous Dex said that about Xan?
Famous
he
Dex
did say
said
something
that
about
about
Xan.
I
Xan.
didn't see that. Yeah, I was busy with his
But
flowers.
I don't think that they need to. There's no. When I was growing up, there was a need to learn about the culture and learn about the history and learn about the things that you know, like that you know, I got taught on and that I liked. But now I just feel like you don't have to learn about the history because dudes just they'll just Google social media and then boom, all right, I have the answer. But they're not actually doing the research.
What do
learning
we
a little
want?
bit
But
more.
what research do we want Xan to do?
I don't need him to do any research.
Yeah,
I don't need him
But
to do
you know what,
research.
to your point, Raj, like, even for myself, right? Like, I mean, when Public Enemy came out, I was a little kid. I liked Fight the Power because it was in the movie Do the Right Thing, but I didn't really understand it. And when I got older, I think about like around like 21, I went back and I bought like Fear the Black Planet. Like, I bought a lot of the this one CDs was still rocking. I bought Ice Cube's Death Certificate, and I wanted to listen because I wanted to learn. I think this is because a lot of kids don't care because they just look at it as a money grab,
Exactly.
and then not. But at the same time, I think, you know, it is somewhat of our duty to just not to kind of talk with them so that they can understand our culture. I mean, in order to understand where you're going, you got to know where you're coming from. And me personally, I hate the fact that like hip hop has no Hall of Fame. Like, everybody who goes into the Hall of Fame has to go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, why don't we have our own shit?
Right.
You know, I think it's because there's always a disconnect in hip hop between the youngers and the elders. Like myself, I can't recite a bunch of Rakim raps. I can't.
Right.
Like, I didn't go back. I wasn't going back to listen to Rakim, and the reason why was because Rakim wasn't as appealing to me as Biggie, or as appealing to me as Tupac, or as appealing to me as Jay-Z.
But it didn't have to be.
Yeah, it didn't
Like,
have to be.
it's what appeals to you appeals to you.
Right.
You could be from someplace in like Southern music. You could be from some.
Right.
And like, that's the thing that's the beautiful thing about being able to like everything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to. The question is, what's your response to it when you're asked about it and what you do know.
Right.
I think that's everyone's having the big problem is you're going to go and make money off of this culture, but you're not going to respect the people who established the culture to exist, who laid the brick road or whatever. I think that's what people are coming off of it with it. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I think that's the angle is you're not going to respect it. You're going to make money off of it. And you're not going to pay attention to the elders.
Right.
However, what is it? Would we have mattered if he didn't say anything about Tupac? Doesn't mean he's any more or less knowledgeable. He just happened to dodge that question.
Right.
So I don't know exactly what we expect. Should we be giving them a quiz? Do you know the 80s? Do you know the 90s? Do you know 2000s? Or do we just expect them to say everything positive they can and they have to keep paying homage? Because these freshmen that come up, they're not looking up to Nas. They're looking up to Fabulous. They're 10 years newer. You know what I mean?
Right.
What they're looking up to and what they listen to and they're passionate about is stuff that we're shocked that they're saying is what made them.
Right.
And I think that's what throws us off is people, we're sitting here and a lot of the judgmental journalistic characters are sitting here and expecting, how did Tupac and Biggie and so whatever not be the thing that you were raised by and Scarface?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's 10 years that, and the people they're going to mention, we're sitting there being like, really? That's who you find impactful?
Right.
But that's that age break.
Absolutely. And you got to think as well, right? Like if you're in your 20s, the year you were born seems so long ago. It's like you don't really.
Right.
It's like
it's also something your parents might like. So if your parents are telling you to like Tupac left and right, and you're gonna fight what your parents like, you might go against what your dad listened to all day. Right. I don't know if that plays a role, but hip hop's old enough now that your parents have listened to it. Maybe you're not into what your parents like. That doesn't excuse it. I'm just trying to look at it from all angles.
Yeah, I don't think we have like one answer for anything when it comes to stuff like this. I just think that we should just try to have a bit of respect, when talking about it's like the Ghetto Boys. I knew mine is playing tricks on me. I don't really know their albums, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend, but I'd be like, yo, I knew a few songs, and I respect Scarface for what he contributed. I respect is it Willie D?
Willie D, Bushwick
Yeah,
Bill.
Bushwick Bill. I respect for what they've contributed to the game with even acting. I mean, Bushwick Bill was in Martin. You know what I mean? He's in an episode of Martin. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, I don't know their discography.
Right.
It doesn't mean to me what it means to a person from Texas. And vice versa.
Right, that's the difference. When you look at UGK and the impact, and they're going to go over that being more important than Tupac and Biggie, and if you're from a certain area, and Mac Dre, and blah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, first time I heard UGK was Big Pimpin'. You know what I mean? And,
Same.
And a lot of people would be like, what? That's the first. And I'd be like, all right, when's the first time you heard Mobb Deep?
Port Arthur's mad at you, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So it's regional. I mean, I don't think that he should be banned. I just think that, we got to take some time with our youth because regardless if we want to accept it or not, I'm pretty sure that, one of T.I.'s kids might end up being a fan of Xan.
That's a media training experience.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with his
definitely
media.
is.
They didn't expect. That's where you have a conversation and you answer that a different way. Because you can't change how somebody feels.
Right.
And if you look, the kid does have a following.
Yeah.
And he's got a
massive
following from young people who aren't going to be that mad at him.
Right.
So it's kind of like you learn from that mistake. And either maybe you learn Tupac music and it changes you, or maybe you just learn what you can and you can't answer.
Right.
But if anything out of all that, that was a Xan learning experience.
Very big learning
the thing I
curve.
liked about it too is like I like that we protected our icons and our
That's a great angle, right.
Right. Like the response I thought, okay, yeah, it was a lot, but I mean, I think it's also still important to like protect the history and things like that.
Right.
But I feel like there's also an element that we haven't really discussed it, and like, Xan is half white, half Mexican.
Is he halfway? I just know him as Mexican. I don't even know
Okay.
if he's halfway. I'm not
Diego.
sure, but I
Right.
think a lot of
Diego.
people thought that as a white boy, he shouldn't be saying the
Right.
stuff that he did. And then how many people were going back and being like, but he's Mexican. And it was going back and forth. So then it's interesting. Does he get away with it because he's Mexican and not if he's white? Like there's a whole element there that I didn't
Definitely.
talk
And
about.
why? That's what I'm saying. Why would he get away with it if he's Mexican? It's like
it doesn't matter.
yeah.
But why was that layer added to it? You know?
It's because it's definitely because of his ethnicity. I think if Xan were black and he said it, he would be viewed in a certain way, but it wouldn't be as severe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I was
Like
getting
03
at.
Grado said something
Yeah.
about Pac like recently. He's like,
Yeah.
he's a stupid ass or something.
He
03
said he was
No.
he said he was a bitch ass nigga. But you know what? It's like, and then when he said it, he kind of retracted it. Like, yo, it's the new thing. Like, you ask me that question, I'm gonna answer it a certain way. But Greedo is 30 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and he's from the West Coast. I don't think that he did that to diss Pac. I think he did, because now, I mean, I actually knew about Greedo prior to this whole thing, but
He said that he agrees with Lil Xan's comments about Tupac being boring yesterday. And today he says his Tupac comments were misunderstood.
I don't know, man. I can't. This can't be life, man.
Take it out of context.
What the hell's going on?
In what context does that mean anything else?
Right. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Pac was a bitch ass. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know, yo. One thing, you know, when I was younger in high school is when Tupac and Biggie was the big debate and everything. And one thing, I was, of course, I like Tupac, but I was, of course, more Biggie than Tupac. And one thing I used to always say was that Tupac was an actor. That's what I did agree with him for because, you know, Tupac.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, he was really confusing.
You see the videos of him at 17 in art school talking about acting and all of that? Yeah.
But the thing was, it was like, you know, even for myself, like, we believed the artist. Like, we believed everything that they said. So I used to be like, man, he ain't none of that. Like, he an actor. Like, you know, he act this way in the movie, and then he want to destroy the world and he want to save the world. But overall, it's just his artistry should be appreciated. You know, like whether Tupac was a thing that you liked or not, you got to be able to appreciate the heavy lifting and the foundation building that he put down before he was taken off this earth. You know,
right? Because without him, without Big, without any of the pioneers, like
he couldn't say shit like that.
Right.
Like without Pac being Pac, Xan couldn't even say shit like that.
Right.
Pac was
wouldn't
able
even have the platform to. Like he wouldn't even be able to make a living doing what he's doing.
Exactly. Because Tupac was one of the most outspoken young men ever. Like ever. Like if you say some reckless shit.
I can't believe he finds Tupac boring. That might be
that's kind of
but
crazy.
I'm like, what did the guy spit on people? He shot police officers and got away in self-defense. He is one of the most vicious diss songs ever.
Right.
Like whatever. How is that boring? I'm a little confused of how all that's boring.
You know, it's very.
But to each his own.
You know, it's very interesting too. After this whole thing with Pac, I noticed that my son had downloaded a lot of. Like, after the Lil Xan said this thing, I noticed that my son had downloaded a lot of stuff off Apple Music from Pac and Big.
Nice.
So it probably made him open up. I mean, I play it, but he went and got it on his own after the interview, and he watches everything. So it's like, you know, it's probably going to make some kids open up their eyes to Pac, you know, and Big again because of the whole Xan saying something.
Right.
It's a lot of kids that never really don't know about Pac at all.
I wish you could figure, like, I wish there was a way we could tell that. I wish there was a way you could be like, oh, and Tupac streams are up so-and-so since, you know, or downloads are up, whatever, since this is Xan or whatever, and the demographic of this age and so-and-so seems to be listening to him. Like, that would be an interesting factor.
Yeah, that would be,
Probably could figure that out somehow.
What do you think about Michael Rappaport coming in the defense of Pac?
Michael Rappaport, he
is the same age, you know?
Right, I mean, he has something to say about everything, so I don't really have an opinion on it. It's like his shit is all one way, like, you know?
Yeah.
I'm never surprised about the things that he says. It's Michael Rappaport, you know?
I mean, he defended Pac. He defended Nas before, right?
Yeah, he defended Nas with Lonzo Ball. Yeah. He defends all the OGs.
I'm thinking of one rant he went on that T.I. posted that was amazing, and, you know, like, reposted, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, you're on fire, Michael Rappaport. You should come up and work here. No.
Yo, he said some funny shit about Trump, right? And he was like, he was talking about his wife, and he was like, hashtag you too, bitch. He's like, you was down with that shit. Hashtag you too, bitch. Yo, that shit, I was in tears when he said that. Hashtag you too, bitch. Like, he's just amazing, man. Like, he's amazing. Yo, salute the rap.
And he wants to do a Roots documentary, right?
That's he did the Tribe one.
Did you just interview him, or we just did an interview and he was mentioning he did the Tribe, and that was controversial, right? And then now he wants to do the Roots one.
He wants to do the Roots. He said he's had conversations with Black Thought and Questlove about it, but just that they're a moving entity. It's hard to get them in one place.
I mean, can you imagine with the Tonight
like
Show or whatever? Yeah.
But he also said he would like to do one on Ghetto Boys as well. So, you know. We'll see. But
I hadn't seen Fallon in the longest time, but the other day I kind of turned in and they had like a segment where Black Thought just raps, and I was like, this is new. I don't know, this is kind of interesting, and they just give him a topic and he raps in it. I hadn't seen in years, so I might be behind. But I thought that was interesting. Like, we're on national television and the evening main huge show, and there's a platform. We've come far.
Who's deeper, Wu-Tang Clan or the Roots?
You counting affiliates too? I mean,
I don't know. Wu-Tang affiliates.
Are we counting instruments too?
Right. If you count Wu-Tang affiliates, it's too much. It's like you got the killer bees, the bees killers, the honeybees, the killer armies, the killer priests, sons of men.
Red Man.
Yeah. Like,
what were the girls? The women's. They were.
There was a woman.
Deadliest Sin. What was the
Deadly
women?
Assassins or something?
Wasn't it Riz? I couldn't
I forget
get
the
it
name,
wrong.
yeah.
Yo, you know what's so ill about Wu-Tang is like they was like, yo, just everybody in Staten Island, just flip the logo and just go ahead and put out a tape. You know, like everybody, they gave everybody a shot.
There's a Wikipedia page of the list of Wu-Tang affiliates.
Oh yeah, it's deep.
Well, you know, who did you just say?
The Roots.
The Roots.
The Roots, right?
Does the Roots have a Roots affiliate Wikipedia page? I guess that'll answer it.
The Roots had a bunch of people in and out too.
They've been through
left and come.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard with a live band. All right, so Juelz running from the Pobo.
Juelz, yeah, that's
airport.
Crazy story.
So what? He walked through and realized he had pills on him and a gun in his bag, and just turned around and took off. Where's the video?
Took off running. It's got to be somewhere.
I want to see the video. I want to see him flagging down the cab. I want to see what happened.
Ah, man.
Rapper,
man.
Because we know you don't leave there, you're not getting a cab that quick.
Right.
Like there's a line for the yellow taxi, or you're calling for an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know: is he left the arrivals? Did he go down to the departures? I want to know every play by play.
I mean, he boogied up out of there.
And then spent the weekend. They was able to dodge it for the weekend, turn himself in on Monday, talk to the lawyer for the weekend.
Right. You know what? What's crazy about this is that this is a federal charge, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is that airport shit is no joke, and I think
he has some charges.
He has some pending charges already. The thing about it is, I don't think he knew. Of course, he didn't know that the shit was in his bag. It's just that at that moment,
Deadly Venom. Sorry,
that was the name of it.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
The V women looked that shit up. So, I think at the moment he knew that was his ass. He just instinct kicks in. He's like, I got to get out of here. Like you're not gonna. I'm not surrendering either. If I got one more, if I know how serious this shit is, and he has 3 children, it's like let me just get out of here and try to get the time I can because he's gonna be. They're probably not gonna give him any bail. He probably won't get bail. It's
every time I read about it or we do research on it, the history changes. So I'm not really sure what he's dealing with as far as not just record, like open or whatever, or probation. I have I'm a little confused. Because it seems to be a few different stories on it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to play a role with the whole federal element of it. I mean, I feel bad for him. He fucked up.
Yeah, he fucked up, yo. He fucked up. And it's right around the time that they trying to do this Dipset shit over again.
Right.
It's like...
you had the same thing with T.I.'s daughter, right? She
heard
showed up to the airport with a gun in her bag, right? But it was licensed.
It was a licensed firearm. And you know what? And that... I mean...
That changes states.
That changes a lot. And, in Atlanta is where she was caught.
Yeah, Atlanta.
Right? They have carry. Like, they can carry everywhere. So you could possibly forget that your gun is in your bag.
Right.
Now, in New York, if you do have a firearm license, you cannot carry. It's premise only. You can go to the range and back. That's it.
With the gun.
With the gun, but the gun has to be in a locked box. The gun has to be locked, and the ammunition has to be separate from. No, it can be all in one box, but the ammunition cannot be in the firearm.
I can't take my gun to my job for the day on my hip.
No, you cannot.
But can I do that in Florida? Wear my gun to my job?
In Florida, absolutely. In Florida, guns is
walk around with guns.
Yeah, Florida and Texas is
I'm
nothing.
only New York.
Man, hold up, that's new. That's different from Jersey then though?
No, Jersey's the same shit.
Jersey's. I just read about
It's
the Jersey's. This even got tougher laws.
Jersey's gun laws
isn't it mandatory 3?
New York is mandatory 3.5.
So is Jersey 3 to 7, or am I making that up?
I don't know what Jersey is.
I've
heard. I don't know the specifics of their laws because I know like at one point in time in New York, people was catching gun charges and getting probation, and then it was like a 1 year. It was a minimum 1 year, and in 2005-ish, around 2005, they implemented the 3.5 mandatory. Mm-hmm. And I mean, one of the things that even helped Lil Wayne when he got caught with the gun here was his gun was registered to him in Florida, mixed with him being able to pay for an attorney. Yeah. But in New York, you can only go to and from the range. You have to have a lock on the gun.
So what's the point of the gun if you're only going to the range?
Just for targeting. New York.
If I can't carry it around me for self-defense.
Because there's no self-defense in New York. They don't.
Apparently nothing about New York State.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I had my firearm license in New York, so I know these things. So you have to have a lock that goes on a trigger. It's also a lock that goes on a box, and the ammunition has to be separate. And you can only go to and from the range.
Is it worth it?
It's worth it depending on what you're trying to do. Me personally, when I was doing it, I was trying to get a job as a armored car guard. So
how'd that go?
I'm here with you. You know, so you know, I mean, it was good for the experience of getting to class and learning how to shoot and all of that. But ultimately, when you learn the responsibility of having a firearm, you don't even. It's like learning karate. Like you be so excited to do this shit, but once you learn it, you're like, I don't even want to fuck with this because I'm gonna hurt somebody.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing with a gun, and it's
Yeah, but it'd be kind of cool if you were like a walking weapon, and I was like I think I'd love if I was a karate. Whatever, kata master, and I was a walking weapon. You'd be like, wouldn't be like, nah, fuck it, this is no fun, I can't use it.
Like,
He'd be like, I'm a complete menace to society.
Right.
Watch out.
Imagine V had Liam Neeson skills.
Imagine that.
You know what I mean? Somebody runs up on her and she boo bams your shit up. Chop, 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 chop. You out of there.
It'd be a story to tell.
It'd be definitely a story to tell. But you know,
this way, I'm just going down.
Right. You know, the thing is that I don't know what Juelz is going through where he might have had the firearm in his bag, but it's a bad.
No, we have
move.
no idea what it is, but
Right.
it's everything about it was like, oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
and
And
he's
then-
a guy that you like to root for too. Like
We've been rooting for him for many
forever. Yeah, we've been rooting for. We've been wanting another album since
Next
05.
something.
We've been
Yeah.
waiting for a solo album on Def Jam
We've
for
been
110
We've
years.
been waiting for another album since What the Game's Missing.
Game's
Yeah.
been
You know what I
missing.
mean? Like and that's what the game's been missing essentially. But yeah, man, it's fucked up. I hope he can figure this whole thing out because end of the day, like I said, man, he's a dad. He's a good brother. I actually went to junior high school with him. I've known him for some years. Yeah, so I hope that
draft pick days.
Yeah, right. So I hope he could, pull through this, and if he has to sit down, he'll have a great support system between his family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna bring up another topic.
Let's do it.
Anybody who saw XXL's had some fraud that we've had. I'm just bringing it up without anybody knowing, just so we can talk about it.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to give anybody a heads up that XXL will never ask you for money for coverage on the magazine or the website.
Right.
And that whoever David Satin is not related to me. It's a fake person.
David Satin?
Yeah,
Word?
isn't this crazy?
Crazy.
And I don't know. I'm just bringing it up so people know and we can get the word out there because we don't want to see people pay for coverage since that's unethical, and 2, get screwed out of money, and there's nothing we could do about it except try to tell you that it's not real. So if you're getting hit up from someone who's not from an XXL email address and they're asking you for money, don't pay them.
Right.
It doesn't work that way, just so you know.
And this is spoken from a manager who actually had an artist that was on the XXL freshman list. Don't pay.
Yeah, we don't even ask.
do it.
Right. You don't ask, right?
I know, that didn't go down. That
Go
didn't
straight to the source.
Right. You don't ask and don't pay.
But it is interesting. I mean, it's just we've been dealing with the fraud in hip hop for a long time,
Absolutely.
or the fraud, of people faking it, and it's just I wonder if other genres. I wonder if they're sitting at at rock magazines or at publications or at other sites and dealing with the fraud. If the fraud plays a role just in hip hop, and I don't know. It's just an interesting side that guys are getting got, girls are getting got.
Right.
And paying money, and I don't know, it feels like a profession for some people.
Absolutely. Yo, I get
And we've heard
emails.
about it on other sides of other people dealing with it. Like we've seen it where people impersonate the photographer to have access to the artist, or people impersonate the photographer or someone else, the record label, to the photographer in order to get free photos from fans.
crazy.
Like there's a lot of fraud that goes on in it, and we're not the only ones who deal with it, but probably prevalent right now. I
Especially
don't know
with
what you guys
social
take
media.
on it. Especially with social media, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I get the email. Like I've gotten emails for me to pay for XXL. Like, dude, would you like to get your artist on XXL? And not for the freshman list. I mean, just for articles. I've gotten random emails that say if you'd like just a post on the XXL like website, $115. $200 will get you a sit down and all this. I'm like, damn, they out here finessing crazy.
Crazy.
But I get them from Rock Nation,
200?
like Rock Nation email. And you know what
I think everyone's dealing with it. We're
Right.
just happen to be dealing with it firsthand because of the freshman time. But nobody ever speaks on it, and we've dealt with it and tried to do things
Right.
to try and fix things. And we've been told, there's a lot of different state lines involved. So who's
Right.
even legally going to take responsibility of it?
We got to start trolling the trolls. We start weeding them out and finding them for real. Like we got to just start saying, all right, come. Like that would be some dope content for us to say. We set up just a random Gmail and get a whole meeting with this XXL person.
We
Right.
did. We've done it.
Oh,
We've
word?
done a lot. Yeah.
Oh man, you gotta
Yeah.
tell me off
We've
there.
done a lot of different things to try and combat or figure it out or whatever.
I think that wherever there's order, there's gonna be chaos. So it's like people will always find some sort of way into how to manipulate the system, you know, for their own benefit. It's unfortunate because you get a lot of, you know, good artists that we may never hear about because of things like this. Like, that could be very discouraging. A person might give their whole last savings up thinking that they're going to have a shot at being a freshman.
That's the saddest part, is that people are making money who shouldn't be making money from people who probably need that money to make them a bigger star, you know, or for other reasons that it could go into.
Absolutely. But you know what? Have some common sense. If it says XXL@gmail.com, like,
or if it says, I'm sorry, my XXL email is broken, so just hit me here. Like,
right. It's like, come on.
I've heard that one a few times.
Like, yeah, man. Like, you know, you got to do some homework yourself. Don't just get hype off the title. That's where you don't judge the book by its cover. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly where you don't judge the book by its cover. When you see the XXL email pop up, it's not Raj. It's not nobody in this room. Chill.
Nope.
You know?
Anything else going on that you guys want to talk about this week?
My Lakers are doing a little bit better, even though they're trash. You know what I mean? We're doing
Thanks
a
to
little
The
bit
Rock
better.
yesterday, right? I heard you spoke to The Rock, supposedly spoke to the whole team, and they were inspired.
For real? I didn't know that, man. But salute to The Rock.
Your screensaver? Your screensaver?
Oh, you saw it? Oh.
The Rock is your screensaver?
Yeah, but with the
Well,
fanny
it's
pack.
The Rock that.
Oh, no, the fanny pack. Oh, fanny pack,
Fanny
Rock.
pack Rock.
Yeah, if it would have been Rock doing the people's elbow, we would have had to have a conversation.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right. Right.
All right, until next week, this is XXL's Moment of Clarity, and hopefully some interesting stuff will happen, but not bad,
Nothing
between
bad.
this week and next week
All
to
right.
give us more to talk about.
Peace, y'all.
Later.